I am the very model of a modern Major General. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England. I can quote the fights historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem I am teeming with a lot of news. A lot of news. With many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse.
Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse.
I'm very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings animalculous. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General.
In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. He is the very model of a modern Major General.
I know our mythic history, King Arthur's answer paradox. I answer hard acrostics, I've repeated ace for paradox. I quote an Eliot jargs all the crimes of Heliogabalus. In conics I can flaw peculiarities parabolus. I can tell undoubted Raphael's from Gerard Dowson's Ophanes. I know the croaking chorus from the frogs of Aristophanes. Then I can hum a fugue of which I've heard the music's dinner for. Dinner for. And whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense Pinafore.
And whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense Pinafore. And whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense Pinafore. And whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense Pinafore.
Then I can write a washing bill in Babylonic cuneiform and give you every detail of Caractacus's uniform. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General.
In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. He is the very model of a modern Major General.
In fact, when I know what is meant by Mamelon and Ravelin, when I can tell at sight a mouse a rifle from a javelin, when such affairs as sorties and surprises I'm more wary at, and when I know precisely what is meant by commissariat, when I have learnt what progress has been made in modern gunnery, when I know more of tactics than a novice in a nunnery, in short, when I have a smattering of elemental strategy. Oh, strategy, fattegy, mattegy, battegy. I have it. You'll say a better Major General has never sat a G.
Say a better Major General has never sat a G. Say a better Major General has never sat a G. Say a better Major General has never sat a G.
For me military knowledge, though I'm plucky and adventurous, has only been brought down to the beginning of the century. But still it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General.
Still it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. He is the very model of a modern Major General.
When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle on the big front door.
He polished up the handle on the big front door.
I polished up that handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He polished up the handle so carefully that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
As office boy, I made such a mark that they gave me the post of a junior clerk. I served the writs with a smile so bland, and I copied all the letters in a big round hand.
He copied all the letters in a big round hand.
I copied all the letters in a hand so free that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He copied all the letters in a hand so free that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
In serving writs I made such a name that an articled clerk I soon became. I wore clean collars and a brand new suit for the pass examination at the Institute.
For the pass examination at the Institute.
That pass examination did so well for me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
That pass examination did so well for he that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Of legal knowledge I acquired such a grip that they took me into the partnership, and that junior partnership I ween was the only ship I ever had seen.
Was the only ship he ever had seen.
But that kind of ship so suited me that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
But that kind of ship so suited he that now he is the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
I grew so rich that I was sent by a pocket borough into Parliament. I always voted at my party's call. I never thought of thinking for myself at all.
He never thought of thinking for himself at all.
I thought so little, they rewarded me by making me the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
He thought so little, they rewarded me by making him the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Now, landsmen all, whoever you may be, if you want to rise to the top of the tree, if your soul isn't fettered to an office stool, be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Be careful to be guided by this golden rule.
Stick close to your desks and never go to sea. And you all may be rulers of the Queen's Navy.
Stick close to your desks and never go to sea, and you all may be rulers of the Queen's Navy.
I've jibe and joke, and quip and crank, for lowly folk, and men of rank. I ply my craft, and know no fear, but aim my shaft at prince or peer, at peer or prince, at prince or peer. I aim my shaft and know no fear. I've wisdom from the east and from the west, that's subject to no academic rule. You may find it in the jeering of a jest, or distill it from the folly of a fool. I can teach you with a quip if I've a mind, I can trick you into learning with a laugh. Oh, winnow all my folly, 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 and you'll find a grain or two of truth among the chaff. Oh, winnow all my folly, 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 and you'll find a grain or two of truth among the chaff. I can set a braggart quailing with a quip, the upstart I can wither with a whim. He may wear a merry laugh upon his lip, but his laughter has an echo that is grim. When they're offered to the world in merry guise, unpleasant truths are swallowed with a will. For he who'd make his fellow creatures wise should always gild the philosophic pill. For he who'd make his fellow creatures wise should always gild the philosophic pill.
The flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la, breathe promise of merry sunshine. As we merrily dance and we sing, tra-la, we welcome the hope that they bring, tra-la, of a summer of roses and wine, of a summer of roses and wine. And that's what we mean when we say that a thing is welcome as flowers that bloom in the spring. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, the flowers that bloom in the spring. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la.
The flowers that bloom in the spring have nothing to do with the case, for I've got to take under my wing a most unattractive old thing, with a caricature of a face, with a caricature of a face. And that's what I mean when I say or I sing. Oh, bother the flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, bother the flowers of spring.
Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la.
There is beauty in the bellow of the blast, there is grandeur in the growling of the gale, there is eloquent outpouring when the lion is roaring and the tiger is the lashing of his tail.
Yes, I like to see a tiger from the Congo or the Niger, and especially when a lashing of his tail.
Volcanoes have a splendor that is grim, and earthquakes only terrify the dogs. But to him who's scientific, there is nothing that's terrific in the falling of a flight of thunderbolts.
Yes, in spite of all my meekness, if I have a little weakness, it's a passion for a flight of thunderbolts. If that is so, sing Derry down Derry, it's evident Derry, our tastes are one. Away we'll go, and merrily, merry, nor tardily, tarry till day is done. There is beauty in extreme old age. Do you fancy you are elderly enough? Information I'm requesting on a subject interesting is a maiden all the better when she's tough.
Throughout this wide dominion, it's the general opinion that she'll last a good deal longer when she's tough.
Are you old enough to marry, do you think? Won't you wait until you're 80 in the shade? There's a fascination frantic in a ruin that's romantic. Do you think you are sufficiently decayed?
To the matter that you mention, I have given some attention, and I think I am sufficiently decayed.
If that is so, sing Nelly down, Betty, it's evident, very our tastes are one. Away we'll go, and merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. If that is so, sing Nelly down, Betty, it's evident, very our tastes are one. Away we'll go, and merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. Sing Nelly down, Nelly, we'll merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. Someday it may happen that a victim must be found. I've got a little list of society offenders who might well be underground and who never would be missed. There's the pestilential nuisances who write for autographs, all people who have flabby hands and irritating laughs, all children who are up in dates and floor you with them flat, all people who on shaking hands shake hands with you like that, and all third persons who on spoiling tete-a-tetes insist. They'd none of them be missed.
He's got them on the list, and they'll none of them be missed,
There's the banjo serenader and the others of his race and the piano organist. I've got him on the list. All people who eat peppermint and puff it in your face. They never would be missed. And the idiot who praises with enthusiastic tone all centuries but this and every country but his own. And the lady from the provinces who dresses like a guy and who doesn't think she dances but would rather like to try. And that singular anomaly, the girl who's never kissed. Well, I don't think she'd be missed. I'm sure she'd not be missed.
He's got her on the list, and I don't think she'll be missed. I'm sure she'll not be missed.
And that nice Iprius nuisance who just now is rather rife, the judicial humorist, I've got him on the list. All funny fellows, comic men and clowns of private life, they'd none of them be missed. And apologetic statesmen of a compromising kind, such as whatchamacallit, Thingamabob, and likewise... well, never mind. And Tut, and what's his name? And also... well, you know who. But the task of filling up the blanks I'd rather leave to you. But it really doesn't matter whom you place upon the list, for they'd none of them be missed.
You may put them on the list, and they'll none of them be missed. They'll none of them be missed.
On a tree by a river, a little tom-tit sang willow, tit, willow. And I said to him, Dicky bird, why do you sit singing willow, tit, willow? Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cried, or a rather tough worm in your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, oh, willow, tit, willow. He slapped at his chest as he sat on that bough, singing willow, tit, willow. And a cold perspiration bespangled his brow, oh, willow, tit, willow. He sobbed and he sighed, and a gurgle he gave. Then he plunged himself into the billowy wave, and an echo arose from the suicide's grave. Oh, willow, tit, willow. Now I feel just just as sure as I'm sure that my name isn't Willow, Tit-willow, Tit-willow. That was blighted affection that made him exclaim, oh, Willow, Tit-willow, Tit-willow. And if you remain callous and obdurate, I shall perish as he did, and you will know why, though I probably shall not exclaim as I die. Oh, Willow, Tit-willow, Tit-willow.
If you give me your attention, I will tell you what I am. I'm a genuine philanthropist, all other kinds are sham. Each little fault of temper and each social defect in my erring fellow creatures I endeavor to correct. To all their little weaknesses I open people's eyes, and little plans to snub the self-sufficient I devise. I love my fellow creatures, I do all the good I can, yet everybody says I'm such a disagreeable man, and I can't think why. To compliments inflated I've a withering reply, and vanity I always do my best to mortify. A charitable action I can skillfully dissect, and interested motives I'm delighted to detect. I know everybody's income and what everybody earns, and I carefully compare it with the income tax returns. But to benefit humanity, however much I plan, yet everybody says I'm such a disagreeable man, and I can't think why. I'm sure I'm no ascetic, I'm as pleasant as can be. You'll always find me ready with a crushing repartee. I've an irritating chuckle, I've a celebrated sneer, I've an entertaining snigger, I've a fascinating leer. To everybody's prejudice I know a thing or two. I can tell a woman's age in half a minute, and I do. But although I try to make myself as pleasant as I can, yet everybody says I'm such a disagreeable man, and I can't think why.
You can't think why.
I can't think why. Whene'er I spoke, sarcastic joke replete with malice spiteful, these people mild politely smiled and voted me delightful. Now when a white sits up all night ill-natured jokes devising, and all his wiles are met with smiles, it's hard there's no disguising. Oh, don't the days seem lank and long when all goes right and nothing goes wrong? And isn't your life extremely flat when you've nothing whatever to grumble at? When German bands from music stands played Wagner imperfectly, I bade them go. They didn't say no, but off they went directly. The organ boys, they stopped their noise with readiness surprising, and grinning herds of hurdy-gurds retired apologizing. Oh, don't the days seem lank and long when all goes right and nothing goes wrong? And isn't your life extremely flat when you've nothing whatever to grumble at? I offered golden sums untold to all who'd contradict me. I said I'd pay £1 a day to anyone who kicked me. I bribed with toys great vulgar boys to utter something spiteful, but bless you no, they would be so confoundedly politeful. In short, these aggravating lads, they tickle me taste, they feed me fads, they give me this and they give me that, and I've nothing whatever to grumble at. song to sing, oh.
Sing me your song, oh.
It is sung to the moon by a lovelorn loon who fled from the mocking throng, oh. It's the song of a merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady. Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-lady. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady.
I have a song to sing.
What is your song, oh?
It is sung with the ring of the songs made sing, who love with a love lifelong. Oh, it's a song of a merry maid purely proud, who loved a lord and who laughed aloud at the moan of the merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady. Lady, lady, misery me, lack-a-lady. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady.
I have a song to sing, oh.
Sing me your song, oh.
It is sung to the knell of a churchyard bell and a doleful dirge ding-dong, oh. It's the song of a popinjay bravely born, who turned up his noble nose with scorn at the humble merry maid purely proud, who loved a lord and who laughed aloud at the moan of the merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady. Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-lady. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady.
I have a song to sing.
Sing me your song, oh.
It is sung with a sigh and a tear in the eye, for it tells of a right and wrong. Oh, it's a song of the merry maid one so gay, who turned on her heel and tripped away on the peacock popinjay bravely born, who turned up his noble nose with scorn at the humble heart that he did not prize. So she begged on her knees with the downcast eyes for the love of the merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb as he sighed for the love of a lady.
Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-lady. His pains were o'er, he sighed no more, for he lived in the love of a lady. Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-lady. His pains were o'er, he sighed no more, for he lived in the love of a lady. Am I alone and unobserved? I am. Then let me own I'm an aesthetic sham. This air severe is but a mere veneer. This cynic smile is but a while of guile. This costume chaste is but good taste misplaced. Let me confess, a languid love for lilies does not blight me. Lank limbs and haggard cheeks do not delight me. I do not care for dirty greens by any means. I do not long for all one sees that's Japanese. I am not fond of uttering platitudes in stained glass attitudes. In short, my medievalism's affectation
born of a morbid love of admiration. If you're anxious for to shine in the high aesthetic line as a man of culture rare, you must get up all the germs of the transcendental terms and plant them everywhere. You must lie upon the daisies and discourse in novel phrases of your complicated state of mind. The meaning doesn't matter if it's only idle chatter of a transcendental kind. And everyone will say, as you walk your mystic way, if this young man expresses himself in terms too deep for me, why, what a very singularly deep young man this deep young man must be. Be eloquent in praise of the very dull old days which have long since passed away, and convince them, if you can, that the reign of good Queen Anne was culture's palmiest day. Of course you will pooh-pooh whatever's fresh and new, and declare it's crude and mean, for art stopped short in the cultivated court of the Empress Josephine. And everyone will say, as you walk your mystic way, if that's not good enough for him, which is good enough for me, why, what a very cultivated kind of youth this kind of youth must be. Then a sentimental passion of a vegetable fashion must excite your languid spleen. An attachment a la Plato for a bashful young potato, or a not too French bean. Though the Philistines may jostle, you will rank as an apostle in the high aesthetic band, if you walk down Piccadilly with a poppy or a lily in your medieval hand. And everyone will say, as you walk your flowery way, if he's content with a vegetable love which would certainly not suit me, why, what a most particularly pure young man this pure young man must be. When I went to the bar as a very young man, said I to myself, said I, I'll work on a new and original plan, said I to myself, said I'll never assume that a rogue or a thief is a gentleman worthy implicit belief, because his attorney has sent me a brief, said I to myself, said I. Ere I go into court, I will read my brief through, said I to myself, said I, and I'll never take work I'm unable to do, said I to myself, said I. My learned profession I'll never disgrace by taking a fee with a grin on me face when I haven't been there to attend to the case, said I to myself, said I. I'll never throw dust in a juryman's eyes, said I to myself, said I, or hoodwink a judge who is not overwise, said I to myself, said I, or assume that the witnesses summoned in force in Exchequer, Queen's Bench, Common Pleas or Divorce have perjured themselves as a matter of course, said I to myself, said I. In other professions in which men engage, said I to myself, said I, the army, the navy, the church, and the stage. Alas, poor Yorick, said I to myself, said I, professional license, if carried too far, your chance of promotion will certainly mar, and I fancy the rule might apply to the bar, said I to myself, said I.
is the true embodiment of everything that's excellent. It has no kind of fault or flaw, and I, my lords, embody the law. The constitutional guardian I of pretty young wards in Chancery, all very agreeable girls, and none are over the age of 21. A pleasant occupation for a rather susceptible chancellor.
A pleasant occupation for a rather susceptible chancellor.
But though the compliment implied inflates me with legitimate pride, it nevertheless can't be denied that it has its inconvenient side. For I'm not so old, and I'm not so plain, and I'm quite prepared to marry again. But there'd be the deuce to pay in the Lords if I fell in love with one of me wards, which rather tries my temper, for I'm such a susceptible chancellor.
Which rather tries his temper, for he's such a susceptible chancellor.
And everyone who'd marry a ward must come to me for my accord, and in my court I sit all day, giving agreeable girls away. With one for him, and one for he, and one for you, and one for ye, and one for thou, and one for thee, but never, never a one for me. Which is exasperating for a highly susceptible chancellor.
Which is exasperating for a highly susceptible chancellor.
When I, good friends, was called to the bar, I'd an appetite fresh and hearty, for I was as many young barristers are, an impecunious party. I'd a swallowtail coat of a beautiful blue, a brief which I bought of a booby, a couple of shirts and a collar or two, and a ring that looked like a ruby.
Need a couple of shirts and a collar or two, and a ring that looked like a ruby.
In Westminster Hall I danced a dance like a semi-despondent fury, for I thought I never should hit on a chance of addressing a British jury. I soon got tired of third-class journeys and dinners of bread and water, so I fell in love with the rich attorney's elderly ugly daughter.
So he fell in love with the rich attorney's elderly ugly daughter.
The rich attorney, he jumped with joy and replied to my fond professions. You shall reap the reward if you pluck me boy at the Bailey in Middlesex sessions. You'll soon get used to her looks, said he, and a very nice girl you'll find her. She may very well pass for 43 in the dusk with a light behind her.
She may very well pass for 43 in the dusk with a light behind her.
The rich attorney was as good as his word, and the briefs came trooping gaily, and every day my voice was heard at the sessions or ancient Bailey. All thieves who could my fees afford relied on my orations, and many a burglar I've restored to his friends and his relations.
And many a burglar he's restored to his friends and his relations.
At length I became as rich as the Gurneys, an incubus then I thought her, so I threw over that rich attorney's elderly ugly daughter. The rich attorney, my character high, tried vainly to disparage.
No!
Yes. And now, if you please, I'm ready to try this breach of promise of marriage.
And now, if you please, he's ready to try this breach of promise of marriage.
For now I'm a judge,
And a good judge too.
yes, now I'm a judge,
And a good judge too.
though all my law be fudge, yet I'll never, never budge, but I'll live and die a judge.
And a good judge too.
It was managed by a job,
and a good job too.
it was managed by a job,
And a good job too.
though it's patent to the mob that my being made a knob was effected by a job and a good job too. Oh, a private buffoon is a light-hearted loon if you listen to popular rumour. From the morn to the night he's so joyous and bright, and he bubbles with wit and good humour. He's so quaint and so terse, both in prose and in verse, yet though people forgive his transgression, there are one or two rules that all family fools must observe if they love their profession. There are one or two rules, half a dozen maybe, that all family fools of whatever degree must observe if they love their profession. If you wish to succeed as a jester, you'll need to consider each person's auricular. What is all right for B would quite scandalize C, for C is so very particular. And D may be dull, and E's very thick skull is as empty of brains as a ladle, while F is F sharp, and will cry with a carp that he's known your best joke from his cradle. When your humour they flout, you can't let yourself go, and it does put you out when a person says, "Oh, I've known that old joke from my cradle." If your master is surly from getting up early and tempers are short in a morning, an inopportune joke is enough to provoke him to give you at once a month's warning. Then if you refrain, he is at you again, for he likes to get value for money. He'll ask then and there, with an insolent stare, if you know that you're paid to be funny. Oh, it adds to the task of a merry man's place when his principal asks with a scowl on his face, if you know that you're paid to be funny. Comes a bishop, maybe, or a solemn DD, oh, beware of his anger provoking. Better not pull his hair, don't stick pins in his chair, he don't understand practical joking. If the jests that you crack have an orthodox smack, you may get a bland smile from those sages, but should they by chance be imported from France, half a crown is stopped out of your wages. It's a general rule, though your zeal it may quench, if the family fool tells a joke that's too French, half a crown is stopped out of his wages. Though your head it may rack with a bilious attack, and your senses with toothache you're losing, don't be mopey and flat, they don't fine you for that if you're properly quaint and amusing. Though your wife ran away with a soldier that day and took with her your trifle of money, bless your heart, they don't mind, they're exceedingly kind. They don't blame you so long as you're funny. It's a comfort to feel though your partner should flit, though you suffer a deal, they don't mind it a bit. They don't blame you so long as you're funny. Love unrequited robs me of me rest. Love, hopeless love, my ardent soul encumbers. Love, nightmare-like, lies heavy on me chest and weaves itself into my midnight slumbers. When you're lying awake with a dismal headache and repose is tabooed by anxiety, I conceive you may use any language you choose to indulge in without impropriety. For your brain is on fire, the bedclothes conspire of usual slumber to plunder you. First the counterpane goes and uncovers your toes, then your sheet slips demurely from under you. The blank dink tickles, you feel like mixed pickles, so terribly sharp is the pricking. You're hot and you're cross and you tumble and toss till there's nothing twixt you and the ticking. Then the bedclothes all creep to the ground in a heap and you pick 'em all up in a tangle. Next your pillow resigns and politely declines to remain at its usual angle. Well, you get some repose in the form of a doze with hot eyeballs and head ever aching, but your slumbering teems with such horrible dreams that you'd very much better be waking. For you dream you are crossing the channel and tossing about in a steamer from Harwich, which is something between a large bathing machine and a very small second-class carriage, and you're giving a treat, penny ice and cold meat, to a party of friends and relations. They're a ravenous horde, and they all came on board at Sloane Square and South Kensington stations. And bound on that journey you find your attorney, who started that morning from Devon. He's a bit undersized, and you don't feel surprised when he tells you he's only 11. Well, you're driving like mad with this singular lad. By the by, the ship's now a four-wheeler, and you're playing round games, and he calls you bad names when you tell him the ties pay the dealer. Well, this you can't stand, so you throw up your hand, and you find you're as cold as an icicle. In your shirt and your socks the black silk, with gold clocks crossing Salisbury Plain on a bicycle. And he and the crew are on bicycles too, which they've somehow or other invested in. And he's telling the tars all the particulars of a company he's interested in. It's a scheme of devices to get at low prices all goods from cough mixtures to cables, which tickle the sailors by treating retailers as though they were all vegetables. You get a good spaceman to applaud a small tradesman, first take off his boots with a boot tree. His legs will take root and his fingers will shoot, and they'll blossom and bud like a fruit tree. From the greengrocer tree you get grapes and green pea, cauliflower, pineapple and cranberries. The pastry cook plant cherry brandy will grant, apple puffs and three corners and bamberries. The shares at a penny and ever so many are taken by Rothschild and Baring, and just as a few are allotted to you, you awake with a shudder despairing. You're a regular wreck with a crick in your neck, and no wonder you snore, for your head's on the floor and you've needles and pins from your soles to your shins. Your flesh is a creep and your left leg's asleep, and you've cramp in your toes and a fly on your nose, some fluff in your lung and a feverish tongue, and a thirst is intense and a general sense that you haven't been sleeping in clover. But the darkness has passed, and it's daylight at last. The night has been long, ditto, ditto, my song. And thank goodness they're both of them. Oh.